Alex Carter had never expected his life to change. He worked in a small orbital dock at the edge of the galaxy, fixing cargo ships that creaked and groaned as if they carried decades of forgotten memories. His hands were always greasy, his clothes always dusty, and he liked it that way. There was comfort in simple work. The hum of engines and the smell of fuel were all the company he needed. One morning, a sealed message floated into his tiny office. It was not like the usual shipping notices or maintenance reports. The envelope was heavy, made of old paper, and sealed with a strange symbol that Alex did not recognize. His fingers trembled slightly as he opened it. "Mr. Alex Carter," it began, "you have been named the sole inheritor of the battleship Atlas Crown, the largest human-built warship in known space. Your legal claim is confirmed by the estate of Captain Henry Carter, your distant relative." Alex read it again. He thought it must be a joke. A battleship? The largest in the galaxy? And he, Alex Carter, a simple engineer, was supposed to inherit it? He set the paper down and laughed softly. It felt unreal, like someone had dropped a story from an old book onto his desk. He spent the rest of the day thinking about it. He asked colleagues, "Did anyone else hear about the Atlas Crown?" But no one could tell him anything. The ship had been lost to history, abandoned and forgotten. Some said it was too dangerous to exist, a weapon that could destroy planets. Others said it was just a myth, a story told to scare children. "You really should not touch it," warned his friend Ben Taylor, who worked with him at the dock. Ben was tall, cheerful, and always ready with advice, even if Alex rarely followed it. "That ship? It's not meant for humans anymore. Not for you, at least." Alex shook his head. "I don't know, Ben. It's mine now. I have to see it. I need to know why it chose me, if it even works." With that, Alex prepared for a journey he could never have imagined. He packed a small bag with tools, spare parts, and some personal items. He left a note for Ben and Emma Ross, another colleague and friend, who always had a way of calming him when he panicked. "I'll be back," he wrote. "If not, at least I'll know the truth." The journey to the docking ring where the Atlas Crown lay was long. It was at the edge of an old human-controlled sector, a place where the stars were few, and the blackness of space felt almost solid. Alien freighters and patrols passed by occasionally, but most avoided the area. It was as if the galaxy itself wanted the battleship forgotten. As Alex approached, he first saw the shadows. A dark silhouette against the starlight, larger than anything he had ever built or repaired. His breath caught. The Atlas Crown was enormous, stretching farther than he could see from the front of his shuttle. It floated silently, its metal hull scarred and blackened from centuries in orbit. The lights along its surface flickered weakly, like the last heartbeat of a living being. His hands shook. He had worked on freighters and mining ships twice its size, but none of them carried this feeling. This was not a machine built for work or comfort. It was built for power. It was built to command, to strike, to decide the fates of worlds. "It's beautiful," Alex whispered to himself. As he docked, the massive airlock loomed above him. He hesitated. Every instinct in his body told him to turn back, to leave the ship alone. The stories were true. The Atlas Crown was dangerous. It had the capability to wipe out fleets, even planets, if someone misused it. But a part of him, the part that had always loved engines and tools and the way things worked, pulled him forward. He stepped onto the first platform. The interior was darker than expected. Light came only from weak emergency strips along the corridors. The air smelled of old metal, burnt circuits, and something almost alive. The walls seemed to breathe in the dim glow. Every step echoed, but it was not just sound. It was presence. The ship watched him. Alex felt it, though he could not explain how. He walked slowly, touching panels and consoles that were cold to the touch. Some lights flickered as his hand passed by, as if responding to him. He froze. Could it be sensing him? No human ship ever did this. Ships were machines. They obeyed commands or they failed. But this was something else entirely. "Hello?" Alex called softly. His voice sounded strange in the empty corridors, swallowed by the ship's size. No answer came. Still, he felt it watching him, waiting for something. He tried to shake off the fear. "Okay," he said aloud, forcing his voice steady. "Just a big old battleship. Nothing to worry about. You've fixed worse things, Alex." He moved deeper into the ship. Panels opened as if expecting him. Wires hummed with residual energy. The bridge lay ahead, the heart of the ship. Alex's pulse raced. He had read about human warships in history books, studied them for years. The Atlas Crown was supposed to be the largest ever built, with systems and weapons that humans had designed when the galaxy was still young. And yet here he was, a simple engineer, standing in front of something that once controlled entire fleets. The bridge was more magnificent than he could imagine. Massive screens and controls stretched along the walls, some still active, others dark and lifeless. A central chair, large and commanding, waited for him. Alex froze again. He felt as if the ship expected him to sit, to take command, but he could not move. The weight of responsibility pressed on him. He had no idea how to operate such a thing. One wrong touch could awaken defenses, alarms, or worse. He noticed something strange. A soft light pulsed in the center of the room, not from the panels or screens, but from within the ship itself. It was like a heartbeat. The Atlas Crown was alive, not in the way machines could be, but in a way that only humans might understand. A presence, an intelligence waiting for a hand to guide it. Alex fell to his knees. He never prayed, but for the first time, he whispered a silent hope that he could be worthy. He was just an engineer, just a man who fixed things. How could he command a weapon built to rival planets? A soft vibration ran through the floor, almost like a reply. Alex's heart skipped. He felt a strange connection, a thread linking him to the ship. It was not language, not sound. It was understanding. The ship did not speak, but it communicated. It waited for him to act. "I don't know if I can do this," Alex admitted. His voice shook. He ran his hands along the central console. "I'm not a commander, I'm not a soldier. I fix engines, that's all." The pulsing light intensified, and panels flickered in response. Alex realized it was not rejecting him. It was testing him. It wanted to see if he belonged. Fear flooded him, but underneath a spark of determination glimmered. Humans survived against impossible odds. They improvised. They adapted. And Alex had always been human, through and through. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. He would start small. He would not try to command fleets or fire weapons. He would begin by understanding the ship, by fixing what he could and learning its language. As he stood, the bridge seemed to breathe with him. Lights brightened slightly, and consoles hummed as if welcoming him. The Atlas Crown was waiting, and for the first time, Alex felt a strange calm. He was alone, yet not alone. He was small, yet part of something enormous. Outside the windows, stars shone cold and distant. Inside, Alex began to explore, mapping circuits, checking power cores, touching panels and systems that no human had approached in decades. Every step was careful, yet confident. Every movement was a conversation with the ship. He knew the galaxy would not believe this. No one would think a simple engineer could awaken a battleship. But that did not matter. He had to understand it, and he had to survive it. As the hours passed, Alex found a small engine room, its controls frozen in time. The ship whispered secrets through flickering lights and faint vibrations. Alex traced circuits, realigned connectors, and slowly, tiny systems came to life. A hum filled the room, low and comforting, almost like the ship was purring. "Okay," Alex said, smiling faintly. You and me will figure this out. Slow, steady, we can do it. He paused, listening to the deep resonance of the Atlas crown. It was more than a machine. It was a guardian, a sentinel of human legacy. Alex shivered, not from fear, but from awe. He had inherited more than a ship. He had inherited hope, power, and history itself. Outside, the galaxy went on unaware. Stars blinked, and alien fleets moved across distant sectors, unaware that the largest human battleship in history had just begun to stir, and that a single human engineer had stepped aboard to awaken it. And Alex Carter, frozen no longer, began the first steps of a journey that would change everything he thought he knew about humans, machines, and the true meaning of power. Alex Carter spent the next hours exploring the Atlas crown, moving slowly through its vast corridors. Every step made him more aware of the ship's size. Hallways stretched farther than his eyes could see, and rooms opened into larger rooms, as if the ship was a city in itself. He ran his hands along the cold walls, listening to the faint hums and vibrations that seemed to follow him. It was alive, he realized more clearly now. Not a machine, but a presence that could think, feel, or at least sense him. He found the main engineering deck next. It was a cathedral of machinery, with power cores as tall as he was, conduits running along walls like giant veins, and control panels older than any system he had seen. He knelt by one console and ran his fingers over the buttons. Nothing happened at first, but then slowly, lights blinked, and a low vibration ran through the floor. The Atlas crown had noticed him again. "Hello?" Alex asked softly. I don't mean to harm anything. I just want to understand." There was no answer, but the lights pulsed in a pattern that seemed almost like a heartbeat. Alex realized he could feel the ship thinking, testing him, measuring his intentions. He smiled faintly, amazed. No alien crew had ever been able to awaken these systems in centuries. He spent hours tracing circuits, checking power flows, and repairing minor damages. Each time he touched something, the ship responded. Panels lit up in ways that seemed to guide him. Doors opened to rooms he had not explored yet, and energy flowed in corridors where it had been dead for decades. Alex felt a strange pride. He was small, but he was doing what no alien fleet could. He was bringing life back to the Atlas crown. While he worked, he began to notice patterns. The ship did not operate like alien vessels, which were rigid and predictable. Its systems adapted to his touch, sometimes activating controls he had not expected. It almost seemed to learn from him, adjusting to his methods. Alex realized the ship had been designed for humans, not aliens. It responded to intuition, creativity, and improvisation. "It's listening to me," Alex whispered, his voice echoing. "It's not just a machine. It's alive." In the middle of his exploration, he heard something outside the engineering deck. Faint noises, like alien footsteps, echoed through the corridors. Alex froze, listening. Someone else was on the ship. He moved quickly and quietly, finding a side corridor that led to a small observation deck. Through the window, he could see alien patrol ships approaching the docking ring. They were led by Commander Vesh, a tall, green-skinned alien with sharp eyes and a reputation for cruelty. Vesh had been informed that a human engineer was aboard the Atlas crown. He did not believe it could be true, but he wanted to check. If Alex was there, the aliens intended to take the ship by force. Alex's heart raced. He was unarmed, alone, and facing enemies who could destroy his shuttle with a single shot. But he also knew the Atlas crown would not allow him to be harmed. He could feel it, the subtle vibrations beneath his feet. The way lights seemed to follow him, the soft hum that responded to his breathing. The ship was aware. It would protect him, but it needed him to act. He quickly returned to the engineering deck, thinking of a plan. He could not fight aliens directly, not without knowing the ship fully. Instead, he focused on what he could control: power. He started activating sections of the ship, bringing life back to engines, shields, and sensor arrays. The ship responded instantly, energy flowing through corridors that had been dead for centuries. The hum grew louder, a deep, resonant sound that filled his chest. "Come on, Atlas," he whispered. "Show me what you can do." The lights pulsed faster. Panels blinked in sequence. The ship seemed to respond to his words, though Alex knew it could not hear in a human sense. It understood him. He traced wires, flipped switches, and rerouted power to core systems. With each action, the ship grew stronger, more alive. The hum became a song of energy, vibrating through floors, walls, and his own bones. Outside, Commander Vesh and his fleet watched, confused. Their scanners picked up life signs inside the ship, but no human crew of significant skill could have reactivated such advanced systems. They could not understand that one human was awakening the Atlas crown. Alex paused and looked at the main console. He saw energy readings that exceeded normal limits. The ship had been dormant, but it still contained immense power. The pulse of energy was like the heartbeat of a giant. Alex felt a mix of fear and awe. He knew he could not misuse it. He had to be careful. A wrong step could destroy the docking ring, or worse, draw attention from the entire galaxy. He spent the next hours exploring other rooms. He found living quarters long abandoned with old personal items left behind by crews from centuries past. He found libraries of data filled with records of human history in the galaxy. Much of it was unknown to the current civilizations. The Atlas crown had kept them safe, waiting for a human who could understand. As he walked, he discovered a room with strange machinery he did not understand. Holographic panels hovered in the air, and wires twisted like living vines. Alex approached carefully, running diagnostics. He realized this was a core control system, one that allowed the ship to manage its own defenses automatically. He touched a panel, and it responded immediately, lights flashing like a conversation. "You are human," he whispered, almost laughing. "I think you like me." For the first time, he felt a connection he could not explain. The ship was not a tool or a weapon, it was a guardian. It had waited for a human to return. And now it had found him. Alex realized the galaxy had been wrong about humans. No alien crew could control this ship. Only a human, with intuition and care, could awaken its true power. As he worked, the alien fleet moved closer. Commander Vesh decided to board, thinking he could intimidate the engineer into surrender. Their small boarding craft docked with a hiss. Aliens poured in, expecting resistance. Alex stayed calm, trusting the Atlas crown to respond. When the aliens entered, lights in the corridors brightened, doors closed behind them, and systems activated automatically. The aliens froze, confused and frightened. Corridors shifted subtly as if the ship was alive, guiding Alex and blocking intruders. Panels flickered and the hum grew louder. The Atlas crown was defending itself, but it was careful not to harm anyone unnecessarily. Alex stepped forward, hands raised slightly, showing he meant no harm. "I don't want to fight," he said, "but you will not control this ship." Commander Vesh snarled, "We take what is ours. The human is weak, and the ship is ours to claim." Alex shook his head. He took a deep breath, and then he did something he had never imagined he could. He pressed a series of buttons, rerouted power to shields and engines, and felt the Atlas crown respond instantly. The ship moved slightly, shifting its mass in orbit, sending a small wave of force through the docking ring. The aliens stumbled, their own sensors confused. "What is happening?" one of the aliens hissed. "It obeys him." Alex realized the truth. The Atlas crown was not just a machine. It could think, respond, and act, but it required a human to guide it. One person. And that person was him. Fear and excitement mixed in his chest. He could feel the power beneath him, pulsing like a living heartbeat. The aliens retreated slightly, unsure how to respond. Commander Vesh glared at Alex, realizing that he could not force control. The ship itself resisted. It waited for Alex to give orders, but it would not act against its own instincts. Alex took a step forward, placing his hands on a main console. He felt the vibrations flow through him, a deep connection forming between him and the Atlas crown. He realized he was no longer alone. The ship was alive, aware, and ready to follow him. It would obey, but it would not be a weapon of mindless destruction. It would act through him, as a partner, not a tool. The aliens slowly backed away. Vesh snarled but realized they could not win. They left, returning to their fleet, wary of the power they had just witnessed. Alex watched them go, feeling a strange calm. The Atlas crown was safe, for now, and he had learned something important. Humans were not weak. One human could awaken the greatest ship ever built, simply by understanding it. Hours passed as Alex continued to explore. He brought more systems online, tested the ship's sensors, and began to understand its logic. The Atlas crown responded to his touch, guided by his intuition. He realized that the ship was not a weapon to destroy, but a guardian, a reminder of human strength and ingenuity. As night fell on distant stars outside, Alex stood on the bridge looking out at the galaxy. He was small, but he had done what no fleet of aliens could. He had awakened a giant, a living battleship built by humans. And the galaxy had just begun to notice that a human engineer was no longer just an ordinary man. He was the guide of the largest human warship ever built. For the first time, Alex felt true confidence. The Atlas crown had chosen him. It trusted him, and he would not fail it. Outside, stars continued to shine coldly. Alien fleets whispered rumors of a human who had awakened the Atlas crown. The galaxy was starting to pay attention. Inside, Alex smiled faintly. He knew this was only the beginning. He would explore the ship, learn its secrets, and prepare for what was coming. He had awakened a legend, and legends could change everything. Alex Carter woke to the gentle hum of the Atlas crown. It was different now. The energy pulsing through its corridors was steady, alive, like a living heartbeat. He had spent the night exploring small sections, bringing engines online, and reconnecting circuits that had not worked for centuries. Each system he touched responded instantly. It was as if the ship had been waiting for him all along. He moved through the bridge, checking readouts and touching panels with care. Screens flickered to life, showing star maps and sensor data that had been dormant for decades. The Atlas crown was enormous, more than he could fully understand, but the ship seemed to guide him. Paths lit up, systems suggested repairs, and old data streams flowed like rivers of information. Alex realized that this ship was not just powerful, it was intelligent. It was alive in a way that no alien vessel could ever be. "Okay, Atlas," Alex whispered, smiling faintly. "Let's see what you can really do." He started with the engines. Massive cores hummed silently, waiting to be awakened. Alex traced conduits, carefully reconnecting broken circuits, realigning energy flows, and adjusting control panels. The ship responded, vibrations running through the floor, lights pulsing in rhythm with his movements. The hum grew louder, a deep resonance that seemed to echo through his chest. As he worked, he discovered something incredible. The Atlas crown was designed for humans. Its systems were not rigid or cold like alien ships. They required intuition, creativity, and improvisation. Buttons and levers could be activated in multiple ways, and the ship would adapt. Alex realized that centuries of alien crews had failed to use it fully because they lacked the human touch. He started testing the ship's weapons systems. Nothing fired, but displays lit up with diagnostics, showing immense power stored in dormant turrets and energy cannons. The Atlas Crown had enough strength to take on entire fleets, yet it remained silent. Alex ran simulations, rerouted power, and adjusted targeting arrays. Each system responded with astonishing speed and accuracy. The ship was learning from him as much as he was learning from it. Hours passed as he explored the control rooms, engine decks, and sensor halls. He discovered living quarters, long abandoned, filled with old data storage, personal logs, and records of past crews. Some of the files contained messages from humans who had built the ship centuries ago. They spoke of pride, duty, and hope. The Atlas Crown was more than a weapon. It was a reminder of human legacy. Alex paused in one room, reading a message from a captain who had once commanded the ship. The words were simple but powerful. This ship will never fail while guided by a human hand. It is more than metal and circuits. It is life, and life responds to life. Alex smiled faintly. He was starting to understand. The Atlas Crown was not meant to destroy without thought. It was meant to protect, to act through humans who understood responsibility. He continued restoring systems, carefully activating shields, life support, and communication networks. Each time he touched a panel, it responded, lights and hums creating a symphony of energy. The ship seemed to test him, challenging his decisions but also guiding him. Alex realized that fear had no place here. Only focus and understanding could awaken its full potential. As he worked, small signs of alien attention returned. Long-range sensors picked up fleets moving near the docking ring. Commander Vesh and other alien leaders had not forgotten the human who dared awaken the Atlas Crown. They sent scouts, small craft meant to test defenses, but none dared approach too close. The ship seemed aware of every movement, every threat, and Alex could feel the Atlas Crown preparing itself quietly. "Don't worry, Atlas," he whispered. "We'll be ready if they come." He returned to the main engineering deck, where the largest cores hummed with latent energy. It was a cathedral of machinery, and Alex moved carefully, reconnecting conduits, rerouting power, and calibrating control systems. With each adjustment, the Atlas Crown responded instantly. Energy pulsed through the hull, engines vibrated as if stretching after a long sleep, and lights followed his movement like loyal companions. He found small problems, damages caused by time and neglect, but nothing he could not fix. Using basic tools, simple logic, and human creativity, he repaired broken circuits, realigned panels, and brought life to systems that had been dead for centuries. He marveled at the simplicity of human engineering hidden beneath the complexity of alien technology. The Atlas Crown had been built for humans, and only humans could awaken it fully. As he worked, he discovered a hidden chamber beneath the engineering deck. It was filled with massive data cores and holographic displays, untouched by time. He activated them carefully. The ship responded, screens lighting up, revealing maps of sectors, alien fleets, and systems long forgotten. These were records of human history, hidden in the Atlas Crown to preserve knowledge from those who would try to erase it. Alex realized he held the galaxy's past in his hands, guided by a living ship. He spent hours studying the data. The Atlas Crown had been a guardian, not a conqueror. Humans had built it to protect colonies, defend against threats, and preserve knowledge. Over time, humans disappeared from the galaxy, leaving their creations behind. The Atlas Crown had waited for centuries for one of them to return. Alex felt a deep connection to the past, to the humans who had built this ship. It was more than power. It was purpose. By the time he returned to the bridge, the Atlas Crown was responding fully to him. Sensors were active, shields humming, engines ready, and weapons systems online. Alex felt a strange thrill. He had awakened the ship not through force but through care, understanding, and human ingenuity. It was alive, powerful, and aware of him. He paused and looked at the stars outside. Alien fleets still watched from a distance, curious and wary. They had sensed the awakening, but they could not understand it. One human engineer had done what centuries of alien crews had failed to do. The Atlas crown would not be tamed by force. It followed a human heart. Alex sat in the command chair, placing his hands on the consoles. He felt the ship's heartbeat, the rhythm of engines and energy flows. It was alive. Listening, waiting for his commands. He smiled faintly. He was no longer afraid. He had learned the ship's language, the subtle cues that guided its systems. He could feel the Atlas crown trusting him, just as he trusted it. Hours turned into days as Alex continued testing, repairing, and exploring. The ship responded to his touch, adapting to his methods and providing guidance. He discovered hidden systems, secret corridors, and emergency defenses. The Atlas crown was more than a battleship. It was a living legacy, a monument to human ingenuity, waiting for a human to awaken it fully. Outside, alien scouts reported back to their commanders. Rumors spread through fleets about the human who had awakened the Atlas crown. Commanders whispered warnings to one another, unsure how to approach a ship that seemed alive and obeyed only a human. The galaxy began to notice, and fear and curiosity grew. Alex knew he had much to learn. The Atlas crown was powerful, but he had to understand it fully before facing anyone who would challenge it. He spent time with systems, reading logs, repairing circuits, and exploring hidden chambers. Each discovery brought new understanding. Each repair brought new power. And each connection strengthened the bond between him and the ship. He began training with the ship's navigation systems, plotting courses through star systems, and testing engines at low power. The Atlas crown responded instantly, adjusting flows, testing shields, and activating sensors. He realized that human intuition was the key. The ship could think, but it needed a human hand to guide it fully. One night, Alex stood on the bridge, looking at the stars beyond. He felt a calm determination he had never known. He had inherited a giant, and he had awakened it. The Atlas crown was no longer dormant. It was alive, aware, and ready to follow him. He knew the galaxy would notice soon. And when they did, humans would be remembered not as weak, but as creators, innovators, and survivors. He smiled faintly. The Atlas crown and he were a team now. One human and a living ship, ready to face the challenges of a galaxy that had forgotten the strength of humans. Alex knew that the real test was coming, but he no longer feared it. He had awakened a legend, and the Atlas crown would follow him wherever he led. For the first time, he felt the full weight of his responsibility. He was not just an engineer anymore. He was a guardian, and the Atlas crown, the largest human battleship in history, had chosen him to awaken it fully. The galaxy would never forget a human again. Alex Carter had spent days exploring and repairing the Atlas crown. By now, the ship was almost fully awake. Its engines thrummed like living hearts, shields glowed faintly, and sensors scanned the galaxy with precision. Every system responded to his touch, but he knew the real test had not yet come. Outside, alien fleets gathered. Commander Vesh had returned with more ships, larger and more heavily armed. They had heard reports from scouts. One human had awakened the Atlas crown. No one could believe it, but they came prepared, expecting to seize the ship with force. Alex stood on the bridge, hands on the consoles, feeling the ship's pulse. It was alive, yes, but it was calm. The Atlas crown did not rush. It did not panic. It waited for his command. He had learned to trust it, but now he had to prove he could lead it under pressure. "Atlas," Alex said softly, "they're coming. Are you ready?" The ship hummed in reply, subtle vibrations running through the bridge. Alex smiled faintly. It was ready. He took a deep breath, recalling everything he had learned about its systems, its human logic, and its intuitive design. He knew he could not fight like aliens fought. He had to be clever, precise and calm. The alien fleet moved closer, weapons primed. Vesh sent a single ship forward first, a small probe meant to test defenses. Alex touched the console, activating shields and energy rerouting systems. The Atlas Crown responded instantly. A wave of force swept through space around the ship, deflecting the probe harmlessly away. The aliens froze, confused. "What is it doing?" one of Vesh's officers hissed. It stopped the probe without firing." Alex focused, rerouting power to engines and sensors, carefully monitoring the alien movements. The Atlas Crown responded like a living creature, shifting its mass in orbit, activating hidden defensive systems, and silently preparing for the next move. More alien ships approached. Vesh realized brute force would not work. He gave the order to fire. Energy beams lashed out at the Atlas Crown, but they barely touched it. Shields glowed brighter, absorbing the attacks. Alex felt the vibrations beneath him, the ship's pulse increasing. It was alive, but it waited for his intent. "Protect," Alex whispered, almost instinctively. He did not want to kill, only to defend. The Atlas Crown obeyed. Automated systems activated, sending out controlled pulses of energy that disabled alien weapons without harming crews. Beams were deflected, engines overloaded, and sensors jammed. The aliens reeled, unable to understand what they faced. "Retreat!" Vesh shouted, frustrated. "This is impossible!" Alex remained calm. He had never commanded a fleet, but he understood the ship. The Atlas Crown was human-built, and it responded to logic, intuition, and care. He guided it carefully, using subtle power flows, engine bursts, and energy pulses to keep the alien fleet at bay. Not a single alien ship was destroyed, yet they could not advance. The humans had built something more than a weapon. They had built a guardian. He realized the ship was teaching him, as much as he was commanding it. Panels flickered with suggestions, systems adapted to his movements, and hidden engines came online to assist. The Atlas Crown was more powerful than he had imagined, but it was precise, controlled, and deliberate. After hours of tense standoff, the alien fleet retreated, battered and confused. Vesh could not comprehend what had happened. One human had awakened the largest battleship in history, and it had defended itself without destroying a single enemy. The galaxy would hear rumors soon, and fear would spread. Alex sank into the command chair, exhausted but exhilarated. He had faced the first real threat, and the Atlas Crown had responded perfectly. He looked out at the stars, feeling the ship's pulse calm again. He knew this was only the beginning. Other fleets would come, curious or fearful, but he now understood the true potential of the Atlas Crown. He began exploring the ship further, discovering hidden weapon arrays, defensive systems, and control rooms that had never been used. He realized that centuries of alien crews had failed because they lacked human intuition. The Atlas Crown was designed to work with a human mind, not to be forced into alien logic. Alex spent the next days running simulations, testing engines, shields, and weapons in controlled ways. He practiced maneuvers, learning to move the massive ship with precision. The Atlas Crown responded instantly, shifting like a living being. He began to feel confident, knowing he could face any challenge if he remained calm and focused. He also discovered archives of human history, detailing past wars, lost colonies, and the construction of the Atlas Crown itself. Humans had built it not as a weapon of conquest, but as a protector. It was designed to guard, to defend, and to preserve. Alex felt a deep pride. Humans were not weak, and he now held proof. One night, standing on the bridge, he watched distant stars. The galaxy was vast, and alien fleets were out there, unaware of the awakening. But they would notice soon. He had a duty now, not only to the Atlas Crown, but to all humans and their legacy. The ship had chosen him, and he would not fail it. He spent hours walking through the ship, touching consoles, feeling the pulse and listening to its hum. He understood the rhythms now, the subtle vibrations that indicated energy flows, defensive readiness, and system health. The Atlas crown was alive, and he was part of it. As he rested in the bridge chair, he thought about what was coming. Fleets would come, some to attack, some to investigate, but he was ready. The Atlas crown had awakened, and it was patient, intelligent, and human. He smiled faintly, feeling the calm confidence that comes from understanding a giant, living machine. Outside, the stars shone cold and distant. The galaxy had begun to whisper about the human engineer who had awakened the largest battleship in history. Rumors would spread, and fear would follow. But Alex did not care about fear. He cared about understanding, about guiding the Atlas crown, and about proving that humans were not weak. For the first time, he felt fully alive aboard the ship. He was no longer just an engineer. He was a commander, a guardian, and a partner to a living legend. The Atlas crown had chosen him, and together they would face the galaxy,